Hey there, parents. How's it going? Welcome back to another video series clip here for growing with, and just really looking to continue to help you impact your family, grow in your faith with your children, with your youth, as we continue to do faith together. And this week's chapter is chapter 6, and it's talking about the word faithing. Faithing together, and I just kind of like the subtitle and how it sums it up. It just says, searching for communities that support our faith journeys. On staff here at Christ Memorial, it's just really our goal to help people know that they're loved and sent, and continue to see them grow as disciples of Christ. And I think something that this chapter gets at is the challenge of getting your kids to church. And some of you, even this morning or today, it was a struggle to get your child to get up. Why do we have to go? I'm tired. We went last week. Whatever those things are. And I think sometimes in attendance and participation is lost this thought of like, hey, I just go to something and do it, and then I go home. I've always heard it this way, just because you're in a garage doesn't mean you're a car, which is kind of an interesting connection to say and funny to laugh and say. Just because you're at a church doesn't mean you're a Christian. And so I know I've been guilty at times of how I've communicated, advertised, promoted, and even talked in my language with families about, hey, I really wish your kid was here. I hope to see you next week. I missed you. And it's sometimes, I think, viewed as like just participation. And really, that's not the goal. I mean, yeah, it's great to have numbers and things like that. But ultimately, what we're really trying to do, and I think what this growing with is about, is how can we develop disciples, and how can we develop youth and children of ours that know Jesus, that want to pursue a relationship with him. And that's a challenging thing, and I think that's why it's great to be a part of this class and be going through this. The biggest thing that this chapter talks about that I think is just really important is something that's kind of newer. And I've been doing youth trips for years, and kind of a rule of thumb has always been kind of a 1-to-7 or a 1-to-5 ratio of adult to youth. Well, the research and information that Kara Powell and it's Steve Argue, the other author here, they've had some previous stuff, and Kara Powell's worked with things from several years ago called Sticky Faith. And their research and continued research with this topic has really led them to advocate for having 5 people that are invested in the life of one youth. So a 5-to-1 ratio. And so a little bit different mindset that, and I just will ask you the question, who are the 5 people, if I made you list them right now, who are the 5 people that you would say pour in to your child, into your youth? And who would maybe your child write down? Maybe your child's list would be a little differently. Maybe there's not 5 people. That can be kind of scary to think about. A lot of times we might default to a parent, our parents, or another caregiver, a grandparent, a neighbor, a coach. But who's that support network that's really helping to instill the values and the morals that you're trying to raise your child with? And so I, if anything, can encourage you to do anything, is really think about and who those 5 people are. Pray for those people. Maybe you sit there and go, I can think of like 3. But maybe this is an opportunity for you as a parent to try to seek out, start to develop who's maybe that 4th or 5th person that your child can interact with, connect with, look up to, see faith or other things modeled from as they grow as an individual. This chapter also really talks about the challenge, I think, of the kind of passing the baton, if you will. I think it's very easy, as you guys know, when your kids are little, to say, hey, we're getting up, we're going to church, or we're going to do this faith thing. And for some students, you get to an age where your child is saying, hey, that's baby stuff. I don't want to go. I'm tired. I'm crabby. I'm whatever. Probably don't tell you that they're crabby, but you're deciphering that they're crabby. And I think you've got to really decide, as a parent, and this is kind of Daniel's 2 cents. I'm not an expert per se when it comes to this information of parenting, but I'm a believer in, and you could disagree with this, please do, and maybe part of your discussion today, but I'm a believer in, I think it's okay to have some non-negotiables as a parent. And these are the things, that in the Meyer household or in your household, we are going to do. And maybe being involved in our faith is one of those things. And that might mean church attendance on Sunday morning. But it may mean, we're going to interact and dialogue or do some things with our faith each week. And so I really encourage you this week to really spend time thinking that through, potentially too, and maybe you've got some other non-negotiables. I heard one family who said, no matter what, you were never going to be disrespectful to mom, to the wife, to the mother. And so no matter what, that was something that was a principle that they uplifted. And so that's something else that maybe you want to talk about besides the 5 people that are really pouring into your child, but also maybe, what do you consider a non-negotiable? And I don't think the goal then is to shove this into your child's face and say, this is the non-negotiable, you have to do this. That's not the point. The point is really, I think, and this is what Growing With is about, conveying your heart to your child to say, you know what? God has given me to you to be a parent, to love and to care for you. Here's this thing in life that I just think is of the utmost importance. And no matter what, I hope that you learn to do this, respect this, follow this, whatever that is. And I think that's the message that needs to be conveyed to our child, especially when it comes to faith, more so than like, hey, it's time for confirmation, we got to go. Close your mouth, get in the car. Or, hey, it's Sunday morning. Or here's, you got acolyte. At the end of the day, it's how do we foster this relationship with God? And how do we model this Christian life that we can then say, hey, this is something that's really important to me. And like I said, maybe it includes other things. Maybe it's grades in school. Maybe it's getting a job when you get to a certain age or other things like that. So a lot in this chapter and a lot of challenges, but I would say another thing that is helpful, if you look at page 184 to 189 in the book, there's some great questions in there of questions that you can ask your child in regards to faithing and really getting open-ended questions that get them talking about faith, life, social issues, other things like that I think would really be helpful. And so I encourage you to check those out. At the end of the day, too, most importantly, I want you to be encouraged and feel supported as a parent that really, so far in the chapters of this book, there's been a lot of great information, but this is a chapter that I really have a heart for. I know our pastors have a heart for. We have other adult leaders involved in our youth ministry. If there's ways that we could support, encourage, connect with you with instilling the value of faithing and growing up as a disciple of Christ with your home, with your child, with yourself, we would love to do that. And so blessings on your week, and we will see you next time. Alrighty, thanks.